You worthless bitch, Ahmed Khalil snarled, his fingers clawing into Elena Thompson's blouse collar. Fabric ripped with a savage tear, exposing her bare back to the packed Manhattan bar. Glasses clattered to a halt mid-sip. Whispers died like flames snuffed out. 50 patrons froze, eyes locked on the tattoo sprawling across her dark skin. A DOJ eagle, talons gripping scales of justice, etched with Senior Investigator Elena Thompson, Financial Crimes Unit, 2015-2022. Ahmed's grip slackened, the torn cloth dangling from his fist like a defeated flag. His face twisted from rage to raw terror, veins bulging in his neck. "What the hell is this?" he barked, but his voice cracked, echoing in the sudden void. Elena stood rigid, her jaw clamped shut, refusing to flinch. Pain shot through her shoulders from the yank, but she held steady, letting the ink speak for her. The bar's golden lights cast shadows over the symbol, making it pulse like a warning. A businessman at the counter dropped his phone, screen shattering on the floor. A woman nearby gasped, hand flying to her mouth. "You think you can spill my drink and walk away?" Ahmed spat earlier, his breath hot with whiskey and contempt. He had grabbed her arm first, twisting it until she winced. "Black trash like you belongs on the streets, not serving me." But now with the tattoo glaring back, his arrogance crumbled. He stepped back, bumping into a stool that toppled with a crash. Elena's eyes burned into his, unblinking. She had endured his slurs for months. "Lazy nigger," he'd mutter when she cleared his messes. "Go back to the ghetto," when she poured his scotch, too slow. Each word had lodged in her gut like shrapnel, but she swallowed them, biding time. Now the revelation hung heavy, turning the air thick with unspoken questions. Why would a federal investigator scrub tables in this den of excess? A murmur rippled from the back. "She's DOJ? Holy shit!" Ahmed's hands trembled, the blouse slipping to the floor. He scanned the room, faces a mix of shock and judgment. His empire, hotels masking money laundered from overseas deals, felt the first crack. Elena's lips curved faintly, a predator's smile. The tear had exposed more than skin. It had unleashed a storm he couldn't contain. Patrons shifted uneasily, phones emerging from pockets to capture the scene. Ahmed lunged forward again, voice rising in desperation. "This is fake! You're nothing but a liar!" But his words bounced off the silence, hollow. Elena crossed her arms, the tattoo flexing with her breath, a silent vow of reckoning. The bar held its collective breath, waiting for the fallout to erupt. "Get out of my sight, you incompetent slut!" Ahmed Khalil roared, shoving Elena harder against the bar counter. His palm slammed down, knocking over a tray of glasses that shattered like gunfire. Shards flew, slicing a thin cut across her forearm. Blood welled up, hot and sticky, but she didn't cry out. Instead, she straightened, her torn blouse hanging in rags. The DOJ tattoo now a beacon drawing every eye. Ahmed's chest heaved, sweat beading on his forehead under the dim bar lights. He had started the night with his usual venom, demanding refills with snaps of his fingers, spilling drinks on purpose to watch her kneel and clean. "Hurry up, black bitch," he'd hissed earlier, his accent thick with disdain, "or I'll have you fired and deported back to whatever hole you crawled from." Elena had bitten her tongue then, as she had for 8 grueling months, mopping his deliberate messes, enduring his gropes disguised as accidents. But this tear changed everything. His impulsive rage had stripped away her cover, forcing the truth into the open sooner than planned. Elena's pulse thundered in her ears, a mix of fury and calculation. She had come to this upscale Manhattan lounge not for the tips, but for him, Ahmed Khalil, the Arab tycoon whose hotel empire hid rivers of laundered cash from illicit deals across borders. As a former DOJ senior investigator, she had chased his trail for years, watching cases crumble under his bribes and threats. When the official probe stalled, she quit, went undercover as a waitress, trading her badge for a uniform to gather the dirt no warrant could touch. "You've just assaulted a federal officer," Elena said, her voice steel-edged, cutting through the hush. Ahmed blinked, his face paling to ash. "Ex-officer," he snarled back, but doubt cracked his tone. He grabbed her wrist again, twisting. "Prove it, or I'll sue you for fraud." She yanked free, pain flaring up her arm, but she met his glare head-on. The crowd murmured louder now, phones recording, whispers turning to accusations. "Call the cops!" someone shouted from the back. Ahmed whipped around, barking, "Mind your business!" But the damage spread like wildfire. Patrons edging away, his business partners at a corner table exchanging panicked glances. Elena's mind raced. 8 months of hell, his racist tirades in Arabic, thinking she couldn't understand, forcing double shifts without pay, cornering her in the stockroom with leers and threats. Each insult fueled her resolve, every humiliation documented on a hidden recorder sewn into her apron. She had photos of his ledgers left carelessly open, audio of him bragging about funneling millions through shell companies in New York. But she needed his laptop, the key to the entire network. Now this exposure accelerated her timeline. No more waiting in shadows. She had to strike before he bolted. Ahmed lunged closer, breath reeking. "You're finished here. Pack your shit." Elena's fists clenched, nails digging into palms. "Not yet," she whispered, loud enough for him to hear. Her goal sharpened. Use this chaos to corner him, extract the final evidence, dismantle his empire from the inside. The bar's tension coiled tighter, ready to snap. Ahmed's phone buzzed in his pocket, likely his lawyers or goons, but he ignored it, eyes locked on her tattoo like it was a death sentence. Elena stepped forward, voice dropping to a lethal calm. "We need to talk, alone." The words hung, pulling him into her trap, the first thread of his unraveling. "Talk? You dare demand from me? You filthy ghetto rat?" Ahmed Khalil spat, his fingers digging into Elena's elbow like vices, yanking her toward the back office door. She stumbled, shoulder slamming against the frame, pain lancing through her bones. But she wrenched free with a shove that sent him staggering. "Touch me again, and you'll regret it," she hissed, her voice a blade slicing the air between them. Ahmed's eyes narrowed to slits, fury twisting his features. He blocked her path, chest puffing out. "Regret? You're the one exposed, fake-fed. I'll crush you." But Elena pushed past, her torn blouse flapping like a war banner, leading him into the dimly lit hallway where the bar's noise faded to a distant hum. She had started this journey 8 months ago, slipping into the role of Elena the waitress, smiling through gritted teeth as he barked orders, "Faster, black whore," while she poured his endless scotch. Now with the tattoo burning on her back like a brand, she accelerated her moves, heart pounding with calculated rage. In the office, Ahmed slammed the door shut, locking it with a click that echoed like a gunshot. "Explain yourself," he demanded, leaning in close, his cologne choking her, musk mixed with sweat. Elena circled the desk, fingers brushing her hidden recorder in her pocket, activating it with a subtle press. "I'm here for the truth," she said, eyes locked on his laptop glowing on the shelf. She had begun gathering scraps weeks in, overhearing his calls in Arabic about wiring funds to Dubai shells, snapping photos of receipts he crumpled and tossed her way. "Clean this mess, lazy bitch," he'd sneer, but each discard was gold. Bank transfers to New York fronts, masking drug profits. Ahmed laughed, a guttural bark. "Truth? You're a joke. Fired." "Now." He snatched a phone from his desk, dialing fast. Elena interrupted, stepping closer. "Fire me, and your secret spill." Her mind flashed to the first obstacles, co-workers whispering, "Why take his shit?" as she endured his pinches on her arm, bruises blooming under sleeves. She adapted, learning his patterns, Wednesday meetings with shady partners, boasting about laundering millions through hotel bookings. "Victor's cut is clean," he'd say in Russian, unaware that he was fluent from DOJ days. She recorded it all, hiding devices in vents, risking discovery each shift. He hung up mid-dial, face reddening. "Secrets? Bluffing slut." Elena's fists balled, nails cutting palms. She had overcome early doubts, pushing through exhaustion from double shifts he forced, "Work or starve, nigger," by channeling her old training. Stakeouts, wiretaps, piecing puzzles. One night she swiped a napkin with account numbers, heart slamming as he almost caught her. "What are you staring at?" he'd snapped, but she played dumb. "Just trash, sir." That scrap linked him to offshore havens, her first real win, fueling her fire. Ahmed advanced, grabbing a folder from the desk and hurling it at her. Papers scattered like shrapnel, one slicing her cheek. Blood trickled warm. "Get out before I call security." Elena dodged, scooping a stray sheet. More evidence, a wire confirmation. "You think you own people," she countered, voice steady despite the sting. She had learned resilience here, turning his abuse into armor. Each slur sharpened her focus. Every shove reminded her of victims ruined by his schemes. Families bankrupted, lives shattered in America's underbelly. He charged, pinning her against the wall, breath hot on her face. "Own? I buy trash like you." Elena kneed his thigh, breaking free, gasping. Pain throbbed, but she grabbed his arm. "Listen, I have recordings, photos. Your empire crumbles unless you slip." Her journey deepened with each risk, sneaking into storage for glimpses of his files, dodging his late-night rages. "Bitch, bow down," he'd command, but she stood taller inside, compiling a dossier that grew like a noose. Ahmed released her, rubbing his leg, eyes flickering with unease. "Prove it." Elena's lips tightened, suppressing a smirk. She had hurdled the initial barriers, his constant interruptions, his attempts to isolate her. But now with leverage building, she pressed on. The office air crackled, her resolve hardening like steel. One more push, and he'd crack wider. "Prove it? You think your lies scare me, you worthless black scum?" Ahmed Khalil bellowed, slamming his fist on the desk so hard the laptop jumped. Elena dodged the vibration, her hand darting out to snatch a loose USB drive he had left plugged in during his rage. She pocketed it in a blur, heart slamming against her ribs like a war drum. "Scared enough to slip up," she shot back, her voice a whip crack, stepping into his space until their faces nearly touched. Ahmed's nostrils flared, shoving her backward with both hands. She hit the wall, air exploding from her lungs, but she held on to the drive, fingers crushing it protectively. Pain radiated from her spine, but triumph surged hotter. He had just handed her the breakthrough. 8 months of shadowing his every move paid off in this stolen second. The drive held encrypted files, snapshots of offshore transfers she had glimpsed in his hurried emails. "Give that back!" he roared, lunging across the desk, knocking over a stack of contracts that fluttered like dying birds. Elena twisted away, her breath ragged, clutching the device. She had reached this irreversible edge through sheer grit. Nights spent decoding his Arabic mutterings about cleaning Victor's funds through New York properties, risking her neck to plant bugs in his booth. "Thief, I'll have you arrested," Ahmed snarled, grabbing her collar again, yanking her close. Fabric tore further, but she kneed his groin, doubling him over with a guttural groan. "Arrest me. Your files beg otherwise," she countered, voice laced with ice. He straightened, clutching himself, eyes wild with fury. "What files? Bluffing again." But doubt crept in, his hands shaking as he eyed her pocket. This was her pivotal win. Plugging the drive into her mind's map of his crimes, it unlocked proof. Wire logs to Cayman accounts. Funneled millions from drug cartels disguised as hotel revenues. She had decided then, in that heartbeat, to stay embedded. No retreat possible. "You're a threat now," Ahmed hissed, dialing his phone with trembling fingers. "Security office. Now!" Elena's jaw locked, suppressing the urge to smash his smug face. She had crossed the line weeks ago, but this sealed it. Co-workers had warned her, "Quit before he breaks you," after his latest outburst, throwing a glass at her feet, shards embedding in her shoes, blood seeping as she cleaned. "Kneel, bitch," he'd commanded, but she rose stronger, using the pain to fuel late-night hacks on public traces of his empire. Now with the drive, she had concrete ties to his partners. Victor, the Russian enforcer, demanding cuts in coded calls she intercepted. Ahmed's security burst in, two burly men in suits grabbing her arms. "Boss?" one grunted. "Toss her out," Ahmed ordered, snatching for the drive. Elena resisted, elbows flying, connecting with one's jaw in a crack. "Not without this," she growled, twisting free long enough to glimpse the screen he tried to hide. Open emails confirming bribes to U.S. officials. That sight burned into her. No turning back, his suspicion turning to an active hunt. "You'll pay for this," he threatened, voice low and venomous, as the guards dragged her toward the door. She planted her feet, heels digging into the carpet, buying seconds. Pay! Your network's exposed! The struggle intensified, Ahmed joining, slapping her face hard, cheek blooming red. Blood tasted metallic on her tongue, but she spat it out, defiance blazing. This moment shifted everything. He viewed her as enemy prime, ordering tails on her shifts, his paranoia spiking. She had vowed to grab his laptop next, the core vault, even if it meant deeper peril. Stalkers in shadows, threats to her family back in Brooklyn. The guards hauled her into the hall, Ahmed following, face contorted. You're done in this city. Elena wrenched an arm free, pointing at him. Watch your back. Her commitment locked solid. No escape from the path, his empire's cracks widening under her pressure. As they shoved her toward the exit, she felt the drive's weight in her pocket, a ticking bomb ready to detonate his world. But his eyes promised war, the hunt just igniting. Watch my back? I'll bury you alive, you thieving black whore! Ahmed Khalil screamed from the hallway, his voice chasing Elena as the guards hurled her through the bar's back exit into the alley. She hit the pavement knees first, asphalt grinding into her skin, drawing blood that soaked her torn blouse. Pain exploded up her legs, but she scrambled up, clutching the USB drive like a lifeline, breath heaving in sharp gas. Ahmed burst out after her, flanked by his security, hulking figures with earpieces, eyes scanning like predators. Grab her phone, strip her if you have to, he ordered, pointing a trembling finger. One guard lunged, massive hand clamping her wrist, twisting until bones creaked. Elena kicked his shin, boot connecting with a crunch, but the other tackled her from behind, slamming her face against a dumpster. Metal bit her cheek, tasting rust and blood. Give it up, the first growled, ripping at her pocket. She elbowed his throat, gasping as he choked back. But Ahmed closed in, snatching her hair and yanking her head back. Thought you could steal from me? I'll expose you as the fraud you are. His network mobilized fast. Calls to Viktor Petrov, the Russian heavy whose mafia ties funneled dirty cash through Ahmed's hotels. She's got data, Ahmed barked into his phone, voice low and lethal. Tail her. Break her. Elena wrenched free, strands tearing from her scalp, fire scorching her skull, but she bolted toward the street, heart thundering. Sirens wailed distant, but Ahmed's men pursued, one firing a warning shot into the air, a crack echoing off buildings. Elena ducked into a side street, legs burning, but a black SUV screeched to a halt ahead, doors flying open. More goons piled out, Victor's crew, faces scarred and impassive. Boss says end this, one snarled, grabbing her arm and slamming her against the vehicle. Hood dented under her weight, ribs protesting with sharp stabs. Hand over the drive, he demanded, knife flashing at her throat, cold steel pressing skin. Ahmed arrived panting, shoving through. Slice her if she resists. Elena's mind raced. 8 months of evidence now hunted, her family in Brooklyn vulnerable. She had glimpsed Victor's threats and recordings. Cross me and family's pay. Now it tightened. Anonymous calls to her sister that night. Back off or she dies. Elena spat blood, glaring. You think fear stops me? But the blade nicked her neck. Warm trickle ran down her collar. She tossed the drive? No. Feigned surrender, then stomped the knife man's foot, bone cracking under heel. He howled, dropping the weapon. She scooped it, slashing air to back them off. Ahmed laughed maniacally. Pathetic. My lawyers are shredding your life already. DOJ contacts bought off. His web constricted. Bribes to officials she once trusted. Forging documents to paint her as a rogue. Pressure mounted. Co-workers at the bar turning, whispering troublemaker after Ahmed's smears. Fired for theft, he announced publicly, her name dragged through mud. Elena fled the alley, dodging a swinging fist that grazed her jaw, swelling instantly. Lungs burned as she ran blocks, but tails shadowed, cars circling, phones tracking her signal. Victor's voice crackled over a goon's radio. Bring her alive. I want answers. Elena hid in a doorway, breath ragged. wiping sweat and blood. Danger peaked, threats escalating to her home, a brick through her window that morning with a note, "Quit or burn." Ahmed's empire fought back hard, hiring PIs to dig into her past, exposing old cases to discredit. Ex-Fed failure, he leaked to contacts. Elena's fists clenched, knuckles white. Apartment bugged now, every move watched. She dialed a burner for her DOJ ally, but the line clicked dead, jammed. Ahmed's final push, raiding her locker at the bar, destroying spare recordings, leaving a message carved in wood. Dead bitch walking. Elena confronted a mirror in a public restroom, face bruised purple, eyes fierce. Peril closed like jaws. Family evacuated in panic, her cover shattered. But she pressed on, the noose tightening with each breath. Ahmed's call echoed in her mind. She's cornered. Finish it. The hunt intensified, shadows lengthening behind her every step. Dead bitch walking? I'll make it a reality, you spying black trash. Ahmed Khalil's voice boomed over the phone as Elena slammed into her apartment door, fumbling keys with blood-slick fingers. The lock clicked just as tires screeched outside, his SUV skidding to a halt. She bolted the door, back pressing against wood that shuddered under pounding fists. "Open up, or we break it down," a goon yelled, boot kicking the frame, splintering edges. Elena's chest heaved, lungs fire, as she slid to the floor, USB drive clutched in white-knuckled grip. Ahmed's assault hit full force. He had hacked her burner phone traces, storming her building with Victor's crew. "She's inside," Ahmed snarled outside, directing the siege. Elena crawled to her laptop, hands shaking, plugging in the drive. Files loaded, wire transfers, bribe lists. But a virus alert flashed. He had booby-trapped it remotely. Screen glitched, data corrupting before her eyes, folders evaporating like smoke. "No," she gasped, smashing keys, but bytes bled away. 8 months of audio, photos, gone in seconds. Pain knifed her gut, deeper than bruises. The door buckled inward, hinge groaning. Elena yanked the drive out, hurling it across the room where it shattered against the wall. "Got nothing now," she whispered, but despair clawed up her throat. Ahmed burst through, wood exploding in shards that cut her arms as she shielded her face. "Search her!" he commanded, goons pinning her down, knees grinding into her back. She thrashed, elbow cracking one's nose, blood spraying, but another punched her ribs, crack audible, breath stolen in agony. "Where's the rest?" Ahmed demanded, ripping open drawers, tossing her DOJ mementos, old badge replicas, case notes, into chaos. "You win nothing," Elena spat, blood bubbling on her lips. But he laughed, holding up a hidden recorder from her bag he had planted spies to find. "This? Smashed." He stomped it under heel, plastic crunching like bones. Her core evidence pulverized, conversations of his laundering schemes, Victor's mafia links through New York hotels. All dust. "Fired publicly tomorrow," Ahmed hissed, leaning close, breath foul. "Thief. Fraud. Your name ruined." He signaled, goons hauling her up, slamming her against the counter. Head smacked granite, vision blurring, stars exploding. Elena's world crumbled, job lost in a blaze of accusations, broadcast to bar staff via group text. Elena stole data, DOJ imposter. Co-workers she trusted turned, messages flooding. Traitor. Her family hidden in a safe house called in panic, bricks through their windows, notes threatening worse. "Mom's scared," her sister sobbed over the line before it cut, jammed by Ahmed's tech. Elena's ribs screamed with each breath, body a map of welts, but the loss gutted deeper. Victims of his crimes, families drained by his frauds, now denied justice. "You bastard," she growled, lunging weakly, but a fist to her jaw snapped her head back, teeth loosening. Ahmed towered, victorious. "Beg for mercy." He kicked her side, boot connecting with fractured rib, agony white-hot, vision tunneling. She curled fetal, vomit rising as goons ransacked, destroying backups on her cloud via forced password. "All gone," one sneered, deleting files. Her reputation shredded, leaks to the press labeling her disgraced ex-Fed harassing tycoon. DOJ allies distanced, one texting, "Can't help. Too hot." Hope evaporated, every gain erased in this blitz. "It's over," Ahmed declared, spitting on her. "Crawl away." Guards dragged her to the street, tossing her like garbage, body hitting the curb with a thud that jarred bones. She lay there, rain starting to pelt, mixing with blood, sobs racking her frame. Everything lost. Evidence, dignity, safety, unfairness triumphant, his empire intact. Despair swallowed her whole, body trembling in defeat's grip. But in the haze, a faint spark flickered, whispering survival. "Crawl away like the gutter rat you are, you broken black failure." Ahmed Khalil's parting sneer echoed as his goons kicked Elena one last time, boots slamming into her gut, forcing bile up her throat. She retched on the curb, body convulsing, rain pounding her like accusations. Cold, relentless. Ribs screamed with each heave, fractures grinding bone on bone. But she couldn't rise, knees buckling under the weight of defeat. Curled in fetal position, Elena's fingers clawed asphalt, nails splitting bloody. "Why?" she whispered through split lips, tasting salt and iron. 8 months shattered, evidence vaporized, reputation torched in his blaze of lies. "Ex-Fed fraud assaults tycoon," headlines would scream tomorrow, his leaks poisoning every corner. Her DOJ past, once armor, now twisted into chains. Allies silent, doors slammed in her face. "Can't associate," her old supervisor texted before blocking her number. Pain radiated everywhere. Jaw throbbing from punches, arms lacerated from shards, legs numb from falls. But the gut wound deeper, unfair, his empire thriving on stolen lives while she bled out here, alone. Family's voices haunted, sister's plea, "Come home, it's over." But home now a target, windows smashed, threats carved into doors. "I failed them," Elena rasped, fist pounding ground until skin tore. Doubt flooded. Why endure his slurs? Black bitch bow, his gropes and shadows, for nothing. Each humiliation replayed, cleaning his spits, swallowing pride as he laughed with Victor over clean cash. She dragged herself to the Tona alley wall, back sliding down brick that scraped fresh wounds, breatheth shallow, lungs protesting. "Give up," the voice inside urged, echoing Ahmed's triumph. Body trembled, chills from rain and shock, but surrender tempted. Walk away, let his laundering devour more victims, families like hers ruined by invisible thefts. "Not worth it," she muttered, head dropping to knees, sobs wrenching free. Dan Vat clawed, every recorded slur, every photo snapped in secret, erased by his tech hacks, unfair power-tilting scales. Memories assaulted, DOJ days chasing ghosts like him, cases crumbling under bribes she couldn't touch. Quit then, she had, but Undercover burned her soul, double shifts under his boot. Work harder, nigger. Building a case, now ashes. Despair peaked, body shutting down, vision blurring to black edges. "End it," temptation whispered, hand inching toward discarded knife from the fight. Fingers closed around the handle, cold steel biting palm. Could one slash free her from this hell? But hesitation gripped, blade hovering. Pain morphed to numbness, mind replaying victims' faces, widows bankrupted, kids homeless from his schemes. "Their justice died with mine," she choked, dropping the knife with a clatter. Body slumped fully, rain pooling around her like tears unshed. Rock bottom swallowed her, unfairness a vice on her chest. Yet in the void, a faint email ping from her shattered phone pierced the haze. Old DOJ contact, one line. "Not over. Check backups." Hope flickered dim, pulling her from the edge. "Broken failure? I'll haunt your nightmares, you pathetic ex-Fed slut." Ahmed Khalil's mocking text buzzed on Elena's cracked phone screen as she lay slumped against the alley wall, rain hammering her bruised body like relentless fists. She swiped it away with a trembling thumb, blood smearing the glass, but the words seared into her mind, fueling a fresh wave of rage that cut through the numbness. "Not done," she muttered through clenched teeth, pain flaring in her jaw with each syllable. Elena forced herself upright, ribs protesting with sharp stabs, leaning on the wall for support as her vision cleared. The faint email ping from earlier nagged. Old DOJ contact, Michael Reyes, risking his neck. Backups exist. Hidden server. Access code. Thompson Justice 22. Her breath caught, fingers flying over the screen despite swollen knuckles. She logged into a forgotten secure portal from her investigator days, heart slamming as files loaded. Mirrored copies of her recordings, photos of Ahmed's ledgers, audio of his racist rants and laundering boasts with Victor. Yes, she hissed, fist pumping weakly, adrenaline surging over agony. Ahmed's overconfidence had left cracks. He bragged too loudly in those Wednesday meetings. Victor's millions washed clean through my hotels. Unaware her bugs captured every word, synced to off-site before his raid. Elena's eyes widened at a new file. An encrypted email chain from Victor himself, slipped through a DOJ mole, detailing Ahmed's bribes to U.S. judges, names and amounts glaring. Bastard slipped, she whispered, realization dawning like a blade unsheathed. This was the key, his personal laptop codes embedded in attachments, the core to dismantle his network. Pain morphed to purpose, body aching but mind sharpening. She replayed the humiliations. His slaps, bow black whore, now fuel for vengeance, not defeat. Underestimated me, she growled, standing fully, legs wobbling but holding. The lesson hit hard. Kian Nan in shadows birthed this light. His arrogance blinded him to her fluency in his tongues, her tech savvy from DOJ ops. Justice for them, she vowed, thinking of victims. Widows like her aunt, drained by similar frauds, faces flashing in memory. Elena pocketed the phone, wiping rain and tears. Resolve hardening her features. She had the final plan. Infiltrate his office one last time, use the codes to copy the laptop, and hand it to Reyes for a raid. No more running, she declared to the empty alley, voice steady despite the throb in her side. Ahmed's threats echoed distant calls to her family, increasing, back off or they die. But this revelation reignited her fire, turning despair to strategy. Your rope, you're hanging, she thought, stepping into the street, shadows receding. Her DOJ training resurfaced. Evasion tactics, quick hacks, styled rays on a payphone blocks away. It's go time. His response, team ready, strike at dawn. Elena's lips curved in a grim smile, body protesting each step but spirit ablaze. The truth unlocked, his empire's blueprint in her grasp, victims' cries demanding action. End him, she breathed, crystallizing. Pose as cleaner, slip in pre-shift, extract data while he slept off victory. Peril loomed, but this awakening armed her anew, the fight far from over. As sirens wailed closer, she melted into the night, a predator reborn. Haunt me. I'll erase you from existence. You delusional black has-been. Ahmed Khalil's voicemail snarled as Elena slipped into the bar's back entrance at dawn. Disguised in a cleaner's uniform swiped from laundry, bruises hidden under makeup that cracked with each grimace. She punched the access code, stolen from his emails, door clicking open, heart pounding like gunfire in her chest. Time's up, she whispered, stepping into the shadows, DOJ earpiece buzzing. Team outside, go. Ahmed lounged in his office, half asleep over scotch, laptop humming on desk. Elena burst in, gun from Reyes drawn, cold metal steady in her grip. Hands up, bastard, she commanded, voice a thunderclap. He jolted, glass shattering on the floor, shards flying as he reached for his drawer. You, he roared, pulling a pistol, but she fired a warning shot, a bullet whizzing past his ear, embedding in the wall with a thud. Drop it, she barked, advancing, ribs aching but ignored in adrenaline flood. He fired back wildly, shot grazing her shoulder, fabric tearing, blood hot and immediate. Pain seared, arm numb, but she tackled him, knee driving into his gut, air exploding from his lungs in a wheeze. Bitch, he gasped, fist connecting with her jaw, stars bursting, but she headbutted his nose. Crunch of cartilage, blood spraying like paint. They rolled, desk toppling, papers avalanching as she pinned him, gun to temple. Codes! Now! Ahmed spat blood, eyes wild. Never, you ghetto trash! He elbowed her side, hitting fractured rib, agony white-hot, vision blurring. But she twisted his arm, joint popping with a sick snap. He screamed, Stop! DOJ radio crackled. Breaching in 10. Elena yanked the laptop closer, forcing his thumb on the scanner. Biometric lock yielding with a beep. Files opened. Offshore accounts, Victor's mafia wires, bribe logs to judges, all exposed. Got you, she hissed, USB inserting, data copying in frantic bites. He bucked, head slamming her chin, teeth clashing, blood-filling mouth. But she choked his neck, veins bulging under fingers. Confess, she demanded, recorder activating in pocket. You're laundering. Victor's cuts. Say it. Ahmed choked. Fine. Millions through hotels. Bribes paid. Words tumbled, damning himself, as sirens wailed outside. Doors burst. Reyes and agents storming in. Cuffs ready. Freeze! Reyes yelled, pulling Elena off, but she shoved the USB into his hand. Full network. Arrest them all. Ahmed lunged one last time, grabbing her ankle, yanking her down, face hitting the floor, nose crunching. But agents piled on, pinning him. You'll rot, he snarled through blood. Black whore wins nothing. Elena rose, wiping her face, staring him down. Watch me. Challenge met, his empire crumbling in real time. Victor's alerts pinging, raids hitting globally, partners cuffed in Dubai, New York fronts sealed. She had faced the ultimate, his final resistance, gunplay and grapples. But emerged, data secure, justice igniting. Agents hauled Ahmed out, his screams fading. This isn't over. Elena clutched her shoulder, blood seeping, but triumph burned brighter than pain. The bar, once her prison, is now a tomb for his reign. Reyes nodded. You did it. But scars lingered, body a battlefield, spirit unbroken. The resolution dawned, his fall complete. Yet the new world beckoned with uncharted peace. Wins nothing? Watch your empire burn, you racist pig. Elena Thompson spat at Ahmed Khalil as agents cuffed him tighter, his wrists chafing red, face contorting in fury while they dragged him toward the waiting van. Blood from his broken nose dripped onto his silk shirt, staining it crimson, but she stood tall, shoulder wound throbbing yet ignored, watching his fall with eyes like daggers. You'll pay for this, black bitch, he snarled one last time, kicking against restraints. But an agent slammed the door shut, muffling his rage to echoes. Weeks later, Elena sat in a quiet DOJ conference room, bandage peeled off, scars fading to thin lines across her skin. Her new badge gleamed on the table. Senior investigator reinstated, promotion sealed with commendations for dismantling an international laundering ring. 47 arrests, Reyes said, sliding the report, his handshake firm. Victor's crew in max security, Ahmed's assets seized, mansions auctioned, hotels shuttered. Elena's fingers traced the pages. Victims compensated, millions redistributed to families she had fought for, her aunt's face among them, tears of relief in a photo attached. Ahmed rotted in federal prison, reduced to scrubbing toilets, his once commanding frame hunched under an orange jumpsuit, slurs silenced by guards' batons. No more orders, Elena whispered to herself, recalling his beau, whore, taunts now powerless echoes. The bar transformed, new owners enforcing fair wages, no tolerance for abuse, former co-workers texting gratitude. You changed everything. Jessica, a fellow waitress, hugged her at a reunion. No more double shifts in hell. Elena's family is safe, sister calling daily. Proud of you, sis. Home's peaceful now. Her life reshaped, offers flooding in, book deals on Undercover Grit, speaking gigs at conferences, warning crowds about hidden empires preying on the vulnerable. Never underestimate, she told audiences, voice steady, scars visible under sleeves as badges of battle. DOJ ops expanded, her methods training new agents, linguistic fluency, patient infiltration, turning abuse into ammunition. Justice waits, she emphasized, eyes fierce, but strikes hard. Ahmed's network ghosts haunted no more. Victor extradited, screaming denials in court, partners flipping for deals, chains breaking worldwide. Elena visited a victim support group, sharing her story. He treated me like trash, but I rose. Applause thundered, healing her deeper wounds. Unfairness reversed. His Kyo and Gao toppled by her resolve, proving power's illusion when faced with truth. The core message burned. Don't belittle based on skin or station. The overlooked wields silent strength, turning tables with intellect over brute force. Karma's patient, Elena reflected, watching sunrise from her balcony. Coffee steaming in hand. Lives mended. Empire's dust. Her victory echoed in every compensated check, every freed family. Yet vigilance lingered. A new case file opened on her desk, whispering the fight's eternity. In the end, this story reminds us that true strength lies in resilience and intellect. Never underestimate someone based on their appearance, race, or position, for the overlooked can rise to deliver justice with unyielding patience. What do you think? Have you ever faced injustice and turned the tables? Share your thoughts or personal stories in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this tale of empowerment and accountability, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join us for more inspiring stories. See you next time.